let's start off with the obedient movement in itself. And there's this notion going on that the group has become passive, with people who are active or inactive. A lot of people do not understand what the movement is about now, that there's no election. Pretty much is just a fancy base of people who are just following Peter Obi, but not necessarily making any political movement in recent times. Do you agree?
Not particularly. The obedient movement consists of very young Nigerians. The demography across the nation is filled with very young Nigerians who are very curious, who at this point in time are more focused on holding the government accountable. They're more focused on ensuring that we have good governance. They don't let fools, they don't suffer fools lightly. They're vibrant. They use their own resources. I think right now, I know for a fact that right now where we're at as the obedient movement, many obedients, if not all, we all earn legitimate income. So right now we're at a point where we are actually back at work, getting ready, gearing up. And when you say that obedients aren't in the fray, that's not particularly true.
Why?
The by-elections, for example, I can tell you for Edo State, we have the senatorial candidate for the Edo State running. He's in ADC, he's an obedient. He was even on can I mention Arise?
Oh, yes.
He was on Arise News, and he mentioned it that he was one of the people who jumped in to support His Excellency Peter. He said, I am an obedient. The Labour Party candidate, Mr. Chris Omofoma, is also an obedient. So when you say that we're not taking positions within the political sphere, no, that's not particularly true.
So help me to understand this, that you could be an obedient and yet not be in the Labour Party. Is that the communication
Even the
here?
APC, I forget who made that comment during the campaigns. They said it that they are with the APC, but their wives, their children, their drivers, their workers were with the obedient movement and the Labour Party, and especially His Excellency Peter Obi. So yes, you can belong, and that's even what we want. We'd like to entrench our belief system. We want to entrench the fact that we want people to research. We want better governance for Nigerians. We want to be able to speak. Free speech is very, very important. We want to get to a place where we are proud of our passports. We are already proud as Nigerians. But when you look at the trajectory of how we've had a lack of political will to look inward and, find out. Right now, obedients are asking, what makes me a Nigerian? Why do I want to be in Nigeria? We have obedients all over the world, from Southern Africa all the way to South America, to Europe, UK, all these people. We even have obedients in India. I nearly passed out one time at the airport. I was traveling with His Excellency Peter Obi. Indians from everywhere, they were telling him, we are obedient. And I asked one of them, are you Nigerian? He said, yes, I'm from Lagos State. I was born in Lagos. So you see, that's a big deal. Because India is one country that we have seen how they were able to turn their lives around, turn their country around, even though they were at the very base, they had gotten to rock bottom. And somehow they were able to turn their fortunes around. So I have a lot of Indians who are my neighbors as well. They are so interested in seeing Nigeria turning a new leaf. In fact, they are one of the people who say to me, if we could do it, and they're like 1 billion people in India, then Nigeria with just 200 and something, what are we waiting for? Nigeria is ours for the taking, and the obedients are going to take it.
That's an interesting assertion, especially when you speak about obedients who are abroad. It makes me think about people who have political interests, who have political culture, who know the values they want, but who cannot vote.
Well, that's one of the reasons why, if you notice, the people who are at the fore of asking for electoral reforms are obedient. So you can see that we're the ones naturally pushing.
And
We
what
have
reform?
we have an older set of people who are even saying change the constitution entirely and let it be, or let us have true federalism. Obedience are more interested in the electoral reforms because we know for a fact that there are, for example, diaspora voting. It's important that Nigerians within the diaspora should be able to cast their votes. We know for a fact that those votes from the diaspora will not be tampered with the way it is done here in Nigeria. Other countries do it. South Africa, I think Ghana also, their diaspora are able to vote. Why not Nigeria? Why not?
And the obedience who are resident in Nigeria, you know, you mentioned the fact that somebody can have a family setting. The husband is an obedient, or should I say, the husband belongs to another party, and then the other members of his household belong to other parties, maybe obedient and
Not
closely.
maybe.
Not maybe.
Almost always.
Almost always.
They
That
are
means within a
obedient.
unit. Have you had the chance to do a survey to say how many people's affiliation? Let's say 1 in 5 people. In fact, it brings me forward to the question of, what is the database of obedience? Are they registered?
I'm glad we're registering. Even as we speak, we have the obedient.com, so I might as well just advertise this here. You go to the Obedient website and then you can register yourself as an obedient. And so it's work in progress. So it will be foolhardy for me to start to give you numbers because right now, even as
A
I'm
million,
speaking to
2,
you,
5.
we're growing. We're growing. And I wouldn't be surprised we should be over 1 million right now. And we just launched this. I think we launched this sometime in May. That's when we launched it. And the numbers are growing. A lot of the time, when we have 1 or 2 issues, you see them, please, we want to vote. We want to register. We want to register. And obedience are one thing I like about them is they embody the typical Nigerian. I said it before, we don't take fools lightly. I don't think there's any country in this whole world that compares to our brilliance. It's Nigerians that even in times of despair will give you a reason to laugh. Do you understand? It's Nigerians that in times of great danger, you see them still thriving. We insist on thriving. We insist on going out to eke out a living. So one thing I must say is that the obedience also embody that. Many of these young people are not particularly waiting for mommy and daddy. They're doing their very best to ensure that they're also bringing something to the table. And I think that's something that we should all, give them a pat on the back and say kudos to the obedient movement. And we're growing. Remember, there's a new demography of young people who have crossed over to the age of 18.
Sure.
About 20 million of them, the last I checked. And so we are doing a lot of mobilization, having conversations with them, and they are feisty and they are raring to go. My son isn't quite happy that by 2027 he still will not be eligible to vote. He's obedient. He has no, in fact, that's part of the reasons why he's popular in school. My foray into politics actually made my son go into school politics as well, and he won. Out of 220 students, he got 180 votes. When it was time for the non-academic and the academic stuff, he got 45, as in he got the highest votes, 45 out of 51. So you can see that it's going into the next generation. I'm quite proud of that.
And it sounds really good, especially when one thinks about the values that are getting transient towards the new generation growing on. But you've only accounted for the very urban youths, the educated ones, the ones who, for one way or the other, either getting a job or moving across a job or just trying to start out their business, which brings a good number of their account to urban people. There are, however, in some parts of the states of the Federation, we have 36 states, where it's not the same kind of cult following that former president, late president Muhammadu Buhari had, which everybody talks about. It's 12
We're
million.
not a cult.
I said cult following.
The first thing is the obedience are not a cult.
Okay.
Is there a voracious, hungry group of young people that support His Excellency Peter Obi? Absolutely yes. when you say that we don't have the numbers
in some states.
Yes, in some states, but that has changed. I'm
How?
always proud to say that I supported a man like His Excellency Peter Obi up north, where I come from, at a time where it wasn't even popular, at a time where there was skirmish, there was that, is it possible? Is this for real? Is she serious? Is she all right? Do you understand? But now that's not the case. It's a lot easier. They are the ones doing all the reaching out. When you say some states, do you want to be more specific?
Oh, I can.
Yes,
For example,
I'm sure you want to say the north.
Oh yes, I've already mentioned the north, and that makes me wonder because quite a number of people are not as highly educated as the average obedient that we have seen through
I
2023.
resent that. No, you must rephrase.
Oh,
that.
I should rephrase that.
Yes, you have to rephrase
So,
that. When you say are not high as educated,
as the
you're
average
wrong.
obedient,
You're wrong.
Oh,
You're wrong.
correct
You're
me
wrong.
on what I'm wrong.
You're wrong. A lot of Southerners, you guys don't understand that when you say we're not educated in the north, you're wrong. A lot of Northerners are educated in Arabic. Doesn't make them illiterate. Doesn't make them non-educated. So that's a very.
However, I did not make reference to any Western education when I said educated.
Yeah, but what did you mean?
I mean urban education. And here's the point I was trying to get at. I understand there's room for Arabic education.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of Islamic schools, a lot of orientation as regards that emanate or are closely associated with the culture of the North, right? But when we look at the average obedient, who is disposed and fairy, like you say, that they are, we just can't find the same natured person that you find in the South almost replicated in the North.
We don't have to be like you in the South. That's the beauty about being
Why
divergent. We don't have to be like you. I don't have to be like a Southerner. Do you understand? To be able to achieve what I need to achieve. The point is, obedience are growing in their numbers in northern Nigeria, because they themselves are beginning to ask, especially the young demography, they're beginning to ask those very pertinent questions. Why do we have moribund schools? Why don't we have better road infrastructure? Why are we unable to farm? Then don't forget the matter of destitution. I say it as it is. When I say destitution, I'm talking about the gross insecurity up north. We love the land of the north. We want to be able to go home. We want to be able to sleep with our eyes closed. That's not what's happening. And these young people, and don't forget that there's the advent of the internet. A lot of them are also online. The people from an older school, I'm proud to say, you will not see a Malam without his transistor radio, listening to BBC Hausa or listening to the news. It's transcendent even to young people. Mm-hmm. So it's part of the culture to be abreast. The beauty about northern Nigerians is that we are very politically astute. So do not take our watching, because I'll tell you this, in northern Nigeria, a lot of us, and that's why it was, I would like to credit that to northerners, because when I went back home to campaign vehemently for His Excellency Peter Obi back in 2022, 2023, and I was between Kano and Jigawa, I noticed that a lot of the time they were more receptive toward me because we see it as a southern candidacy. So whether you're from the north, whether you're from the southwest, southeast, or south-south, if you bring Arnold Schwarzenegger and say that's the person that's going to run from the south, we don't have an issue with that.
And I had this mindset. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's always seemed, and I will say this for our viewers who do not speak Hausa, but I'll make an attempt to say. There's this saying in Hausa that says, "Namani, namani." Yeah, our own is our own, right? Namuni. Yes, I know I will eventually get there.
You did very well.
Yeah. Nagodi, mama. Nagodi. Which literally means our own is our own.
Ours is ours.
And I find Peter Obi, His Excellency, he has had to run several times against candidates who are from northern region of the country.
His Excellency Peter Obi.
Peter Obi, when I do mean run, I mean in terms of 2023 election, for example.
Okay, that was the one time.
Yes, that was the one time.
President.
Yeah. And of course, that was interesting. Before then, he was a vice presidential candidate to Atiku Abubakar, and a lot of people thought maybe it was an extra wheel on the ride. I don't know. That can really be redefining as we go on, because we're still going to venture into coalition issues. But I just want you to know, how is he perceived now in the North? It's one thing to have needs, political needs, national needs, and realize those needs are evident, and somebody says, I'm going to meet up with those needs. It's another thing for you to have your uncle, somebody related in your region, where you do know the baseline is our own, is a mantra that runs from house to house, and then you have to choose a candidate who is not from your household. How does that play out?
I remember saying to you initially, I remember saying very clearly that we see this as a Southern candidacy.
Why is that, sir?
Yeah, because we have an unwritten, it's not in the Constitution, but we do have an spoken agreement that is unwritten, that it's 8 years for the North, 8 years for the South. So there's a huge chunk of Northerners that are like, leave it for the South. When it's time, 2031, it's ours. Then we come back to Namu Namuni. Do you understand? There are a lot of Northerners who are displeased with certain people who have come out when it is the time for the South. You can see what has happened in a particular political party. That singular decision, while I respect the individual, has decimated the PDP, has put it in the quagmire that she finds herself. So you can see that, has that really worked? The thing with the North is, we want a situation where the government can work for all and sundry. Because Peter Obi is the first person that will tell you, we're not buying bread cheaper because we're from the South or from the North or from the North Central. You're not buying fuel cheaper. The most important things are education. The most important thing is health. It's such a travesty. It's such an embarrassment and a disgrace that Nigeria is the worst place for a woman to give birth. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
And those are the things that we want to get fixed. Nigerians are beginning to see a man, and when I say Nigerians, the North included, especially a younger demography. Those are the people who are now asking questions. Because even when we say Namu Namini, they'll be like, okay, what did ours do for us?
Show me what is done.
So how did we end up here? And those are the people who are a breath of fresh air, who are saying those are the people that we want them. And it doesn't matter whether or not they join the Labour Party or join the ADC or we just want people who have retooled their minds, who may never have been to an airport, but they see everything that goes online and they see their region. Call it desert, because we have desert encroachment. But they can see what's happening in places like Saudi Arabia. They can see what's happening in Qatar. They can see what's happening in Dubai, and they want their country to be just as good. So yes, I blame this government a lot of the time. I blame successive governments. I blame successive governments in Nigeria for all the mishandling of Nigeria's policies, politics, and resources. I say this because it's a lot of the time you see them say, oh, there's no banditry, oh, there's no kidnapping. I dare say it's because your government is the one kidnapping. Your government is the one doing the banditry. Yes.
You're saying the Nigerian government
once said, he once said that when there's insurgency to a certain degree, your government knows about it.
48 hours.
How is it possible that hundreds of people are killed at once? They're maimed at once. And they'll tell you, we informed the security operatives and nothing happened.
So they are culpable, is that what you mean?
Of course they're culpable. They're culpable. They themselves have come out to say it many times to the media, that they know that a lot of the time where they are, what's that word that's used? They could be when they're about to strike. They find out that the insurgents, the bandits, the kidnappers are already aware. So they themselves know that within their ranks, there are people who sell out. There are moles and people who have sold out. And unfortunately, the onus rests on government. It's not enough for presidents to come and say, oh, why hasn't anybody been arrested? What's the follow-up?
What has Peter Obi been saying about such situation when it comes to insecurity? He's quite known for clarity of his words and his thoughts on quite a number of subjects. He has also come out to be somebody quite strong when it comes to empathizing with communities who go through some of this, especially for somewhere like Benue, somewhere like Jos. But even at that,
Plateau,
Jos, yes, Plateau, Jos, Jigawa.
We haven't really had cases of insurgency and kidnapping. We've had more natural disasters, and yeah, he was there as well. He's been everywhere.
Yeah,
hasn't he been?
Which brings me to the subject of even being everywhere. As part of his own notion to celebrate his birthday, he's inclined. He went to Kaduna State, went to Edo State. Quite a number of people were uncomfortable. The police in Kaduna were uncomfortable with the fact that his presence could, lead to a breakdown of law and order, whatever perspective they were pushing. But that was something they did not hesitate to say.
Security operatives are culpable. You had there was a way you cringed when I said so. If you're not culpable, what are you afraid of? Somebody is coming to do charity. I know that in Christianity, in Islam, and I'm sure even if you're a traditionalist, they'll tell you, give alms, be good. I see no reason why we're talking about deplorable educational systems. We're talking about deplorable healthcare systems. We're talking about deplorable Nigerian roads. We're talking about deplorable living environments for Nigerians. And you're saying that somebody coming to visit, to do charity, to do good, which is his fundamental human right. He's not using anybody else's fund, but his. Rather than support the person, you're afraid. Mr. Peter Obi has never been anywhere. And I'm glad you even mentioned his birthday, because we've had a very bad rap by people, the ones who really don't love Nigeria. They've given the obedience and His Excellency Peter Obi such a bad rap. And guess what? All across 36 states, from Sokoto to Benue to Kaduna to Enugu to Imo State to Lagos State to Ekiti State to Ondo State. The list goes on and on. I said that to say this. We had birthday celebrations. We called it the Obedient Day of Service. Some people rallied. People were buying fuel for whether you were obedient or not. As long as you were in that filling station, you benefited 500 naira. Let me tell you, in Sokoto State, young people paid 5,000 naira each for 100 patients in the hospitals, just to alleviate their suffering. So you can see how His Excellency Peter Obi's way has become so infectious that the obedience decided, the way we're going to honor this man? We're going to honor him by doing good to our fellow Nigerians. So what the obedience are standing for, and I love our name, obedient. We're being obedient to love thy neighbor. We're being obedient to helping others. It's now about service. What else do we have in this country?
Do you think the obedience...
We have humanity. We have...
Yeah. Do you think there could have been... Peter Obi could have been obedient by, informing the governors or informing some of those people, because he has a strong following? He always
does. These people are fond of telling frightful lies.
Including Edo government.
I said it. I was on 7 different programs. Do you understand? Between His Excellency Peter Obi's birthday to Monday, I was on 7 different programs. 3 radio, the other 4 were television. And I said it, that it was just a figmentation of his imagination. When you're irresponsible, you start to look for... He's just twerking, let me use, he's just twerking for his paymasters. That's what he's doing.
And who are his paymasters?
I'm loyal.
Who are his paymasters?
He's just saying, I'm loyal. Do you understand? To let them know that, please. But the thing is, unfortunately for him, we won Edo State. Edo State is obedient. They'll be the first to tell you. I remember one time I was saying, I don't think Edo State is as obedient as Southern Kaduna. And there was an outrage. There was this competition that, no, we are the ones. And they own it. They own being the headquarters of the obedient movement. So it's a travesty. It's an effort in futility for you to think that you could threaten a man like Peter Obi. One threat to one person is a threat to us all. And it's not true. I have been there when Mr. Peter Obi makes those calls. I'm not a member of his protocol, but I have been there. He's somebody that always obeys the rule of law. He's so he's so fanatical about the rule of law and doing the right thing, that sometimes even we roll our eyes and be like, but this is Nigeria. You can get away with that. Let me tell you something. If Peter Obi says no 5 times, no. he's not going to change his mind. If when you're having a conversation with him and he says, no, you didn't, then there's a possibility it's for discussion. But when he says it that 5 times, trust and believe that he's going to he would do it his way. So even when people say he's not decisive, he dilly-dallies, I look at them and I say, if only you knew. Just because he's a gentleman, just because he refuses to rub himself in the mud with the rest, and he rises and he's top notch in his relations, with everybody, all and sundry, including those who try to denigrate him, doesn't mean that he doesn't have the foresight. I admire his patience. You have to have oodles of patience to be a man like His Excellency Peter Obi. So when you see him silent, it's because he's thinking it through. And he always has to weigh all the options. So to you, it's like he's sitting on the fence. To you, it's like, oh, he hasn't taken a decision. Nigerians are so used to gra-gra. Nigerians are so used to the abuse of government that when there is that person who's taking his time and bidding that time, you see it as weakness. I've said it before. I wrote it in one of my memoirs where I'm doing my writing, when I'm doodling. I said, Nigerians, unfortunately, have a Stockholm syndrome relationship with their government, where it's the people that have abused you the most that you still go back to. You're still gravitating towards them. But then I dare say that that's in the past now. It's in the past because the young people they're tearing themselves away from such situations.
It brings me to what's the nature of the no? Is it the no or no 5 times that Peter Obi is saying to the coalition? Is he saying no, or is just being silent?
He's not been silent. If you're following the news, he has always said he's a member of the coalition. He's in those talks. He's having those conversations, but he's still in his party.
What is he doing with the coalition?
He's entitled freedom of association.
But then, don't you think it's confusing?
It's not confusing.
The non-obedience who possibly have passively support, who could possibly be joining the obedience, who could possibly be looking at him as a candidate in the next election, don't you think that it's confusing them with either with his silence or with his no or with his no?
He hasn't said no in any of these conversations. Rather, it's been a yes. Or yes, let's sit down.
Why is he saying yes?
Why shouldn't he? Tell me why he shouldn't say yes to a possible coalition.
Why does he need them? And that's what an average Nigerian would ask. And I've been asked this. That's why I'm asking you that when you look at the coalition that exists as it is constituted, there are enough people in there. You have former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amechi. You have former vice president, Atiku Abubakar. You have the big guns, the legendary politicians. And by the way, this question I'm asking you, I did ask to maybe Kachuku just some days ago as well. And I'm still asking you, why does he need them? Because apparently, when it comes to raising funds, the obedience seems to have him covered. When it comes to frugality of spending on political action, it seems to have it covered. When it comes to the publicity, it may not even need the regular media. So why does he need the coalition? And what is the nature of his yes so far?
The nature of his yes so far is, let's continue having those conversations. Let's continue to dialogue before I make a decision. What are you bringing to the table? And that is you cannot say that you want to rule a country as diverse as Nigeria, with dissenting voices, with divergent views, and you will not be part of a whole eclectic mix. Yes, they are the big guns, but is Mr. Peter Obi any less than any of those big guns there? If they were former governors, he too was a former governor. If they are men that have made money, we know that Peter Obi has made his money legitimately over the years in Nigeria. He's a billionaire, and he doesn't pretend about that. It's just that he will not give you shishi to go and do the wrong thing. So yes, when you're asking why does he need them, what channel was it where he had an interview and he said, we need everybody. This is politics. Do you understand? We need people who have failed several times. And I think he even used Steve Jobs as one of his examples. We need people who have failed several times and have now seen that, oh, this thing that we did was wrong. And, you can't just throw everybody away. My grandpa, my mother's father, always would say, you see that man that gets drunk and falls into the gutter? He's the perfect example of how not to be. So he has his usefulness. While the whole community might call him useless, he has his own. So there's nothing that, we're all part of the puzzle, the jigsaw, do you understand, that could come and form a formidable force. So it's not from a place of need that His Excellency Peter Obi is part of the coalition talks. It's not he's not begging anybody. It's not from a place of being beggarly. It comes from a place of diplomacy. It comes from a place of democracy. It comes from a place of how to politic. You can't do politics without dialoguing. For example, here am I sitting with you. We're having a dialogue. These things are very important. It's not about being autocratic. It's not a dictatorship. It's, like I said, it's about diplomacy. And many of these people in the coalition, you must remember that many of them at some point, they were his colleagues, former colleagues. They're his friends. They're people that he knows. They're people that there are
also people who might have betrayed him. Some who might have betrayed him, also part of that coalition. I presume his relationship with every one of them is not the same as it used to be years ago. I can only imagine former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, his relationship. He just gave an analogy of a drunkard who becomes the example to the entire community of how not to be. And I can imagine Atiku, who has failed several times to clinch the ticket of the president, who has also had Obi run alongside with him for the same role, thinking about him, observing him and saying to himself how not to do it. Because Atiku made his own attempt with the PDP and tried to shape the party around himself. I presume he will be shaping the ADC around himself.
I don't speak for His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. While I respect him, I don't presume to know what is in his mind or what he wants to do.
I understand that, but I was just thinking about what Obi may think of Atiku. Yes, what Obi may think of Atiku being so close by, seeing the fact that they've worked together before, at least under a party movement, and that didn't turn out to the landing place, because
that's life.
That's life. Yeah.
That's life.
What lesson do you think he learned from
forgiveness?
Forgiveness.
Yes, forgiveness. One thing.
So Peter Obi might have forgiven.
Not might. I know for a fact that he holds no grudge against anybody.
And there's a future life, together.
It's the way things pan out. You cannot put your own free will and force it on another person. So one thing I do know is that he's somebody that, well, it is what it is. PO is somebody that when people do things to him and those of us around him are like, no, he's like, calm down. He will say that he's no 5 times. No. Look at it this way. Why don't you think about it this way? And then it even disarms you. So in a lot of the time, even when I'm speaking, some people want me to come out with vitriol and anger and all of that. But the man that I work for, the man that I speak for, isn't that way. So he's somebody that, yes, like you said, people have done him wrong. He even mentioned it that there was an interview he granted, I think, with Shehu Okibaloye, and he said even Jesus was betrayed. How much more he, that's just a normal person who's not on the level of any of the prophets or a Messiah as Christians consider him. So why should he expect his life to be any different? So he's not somebody that is, what's that word? He's not somebody that is easily taken aback by people's actions or inactions towards him. He almost puts himself in a position where he'll tell you, the day you sit with Mr. Peter Obi, he'll if you ever were with him, he always says, before you offended me, I had already forgiven you. Before XYZ hurt my feelings, I had already forgiven. You know why? Because we're all humans, and I myself am not perfect. So that's the kind of person I want to I want Nigerians to experience, the kind of one-on-one, because it's real. It comes from a real place. It comes from a genuine place. So, yeah, that's why he can still have those conversations in the coalition.
So you've mentioned is in those conversations with the coalition and is listening to them to understand what they're bringing to the table. What is he bringing to the coalition table?
Mr. Peter Obi is bringing himself. He himself is a tornado. And that's why you say people get scared and skirmish that he's coming to their state to just assist and do things. Peter Obi himself is a tsunami. He's bringing himself. He's bringing a lot of wisdom. He's bringing a lot of change. He's bringing a retooling and an re-education, reorientation. He's bringing frugality, which is something we know we need. He's bringing a lot of economic knowledge. Something Mr. Peter Obi will tell you is, I understand money. I understand how these things work. And he really does. He's quite adept. He'll tell you, I'm a trader. So he can break it down to the barest minimum of examples for you. He's bringing he's bringing a double whammy tsunami bigger than him, the obedient movement.
That's interesting that you do say so. So that's what he's bringing to the coalition, the ADC coalition. But he hasn't brought in anything to the Labour Party, despite their many skirmishes, there are many outbursts, if I would say, and some of the members also making disgraceful comments about their party and members of the party. And sometimes one thinks about how many chairmen actually exist in the party. And one thinks about the role of the former vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Dati Baba, who has been trying to build bridges and it's almost been confused that he may have parted ways with Obi. However, he has come out to say he has not parted ways with Obi.
Can I stop you there?
Order before you do. And I think the fundamental question would be, if he's bringing so much to a party, ADC coalition, why hasn't he brought that into the Labour Party?
That's fine. It's okay. I like the word you used. We are having our internal skirmishes. Doesn't mean that we're still not a party. His Excellency is still with the Labour Party. And he has said the day he's going to leave, if ever he's going to leave, we would hear it from him. So you won't be hearing it from a mouthpiece. You won't be hearing it from his spokespersons. You will be hearing it from him directly. Now, the matter of the Labour Party is, we understand, that government has a hand in trying to,
APC-led
destroy.
government.
Yes, the APC-led government is trying to destroy the Labour Party. Whether or not they will succeed, it rests on us who are the members of that party. And we are sure going to fight for the soul of our party, which is what we're doing. What you see is the fight. But let me explain to you that when you see Mr. Peter Obi calm and just coasting along, have you ever seen a duck? Do you know how ducks do it?
Yeah.
You just see them on the surface,
but they paddle for their life.
Paddling crazy. And if you're a swimmer, I'm a strong swimmer. And one thing I know is that there's the current is always on still waters, they say, run very deep.
True.
Doesn't mean that work is not being done underground within the party to stabilize it. You understand? His Dr. Dati Baba Ahmed's, he didn't come out to say, contrary to what you say, right there and then, he said it would be easier to smash the head of APC than to cause a little crack between himself. He didn't wait to lay claim that they are both still members of the Labour Party, and he remains fiercely loyal to His Excellency Peter Obi. Whether or not His Excellency Peter Obi decides to pick him as his running mate in the future, his loyalty is to his, and he said, I am here to quiet down divergent voices. The meeting before we went into that conference, whatever, he said, I want us all to sheathe our swords.
Just help me clarify this before you went into a conference, because even 3 days ago, one faction of the Labour Party, Abure-led faction, literally condemned the conference, which I presume you attended, and they said it's not constitutional, it doesn't follow a
member of the
party.
Labour Party.
So it's confusing which of them.
No. There's no confusion.
Oh, please share.
We are all card-carrying members of the same
party.
Home. It's our home. It's Papa, Mama, Pikin. Yes? You have siblings? Do you always love your siblings?
No.
So we're at that point.
I always love them, but doesn't mean we don't fight.
Exactly. So that's where we're at. So irrespective of what you're seeing, and I think it's quite interesting because everybody will now see the time when we'll all come back together. And I'm praying, my prayers, that we're all going to have our kumbaya moment and to everybody.
That's interesting. But
I'm waiting.
You do say that the APC-led government is the one stirring the differences.
They're stirring the pot.
Yeah, stirring the pot.
They don't pretend about it. You heard your president yesterday. You heard what he said. Coalition of confusion. Focus on your bad governance. Focus on the fact that Nigerians don't particularly like you. Focus on the fact that Nigerians are coalescing to get you out of office. Focus on the fact that Nigerians are shouting Abim power. Focus on the fact that inflation is at an all-time high. People can barely feed. Focus on the fact that there's insecurity. Focus on the fact that people are accusing your government of gross irresponsibility and corruption. Those are the things you should focus on, not to come and be taking digs at your opposition. It means that they are very afraid.
Well, no president leaves his opposition without making comments about them.
Those are not Nigeria's problems. Do you understand?
Yes.
So he shouldn't. That's the thing with him. He's common. He's like everybody else. We want people who are different, who think differently, who want to run things differently, who it's not about making agriculture sexy. I think that was so disrespectful. But then it's who he is. He is disrespectful.
So, stirring the pot, the APC stirring the pot, it also means they are succeeding because there's something to stir one way or the other. Do you think the momentum, and this is me asking about the bargain, you said the biggest tsunami that Peter Obi will be taking to the ADC coalition in the event he gets what he wants, or if he gets what he wants, if he joins, is the fact that the tsunami, which is the obedient movement, is the biggest
double
of them.
Whammy tsunami.
Can you say that again?
It's a double whammy tsunami.
Okay, that sounds like a tongue twister, but it sounds like a lot. And that's
a lot.
A lot. And I wonder if that amount of people, with the numbers that you have, the resourcing that the obedient movement have, if that is not too much of a bargain to make for a party, a coalition that is,
that's why,
words of maybe on quicksand.
That's why it's a decision that His Excellency Peter Obi is going to make by himself. All of which I know that he's having conversations even within the obedient movement, even within the Labour Party, which is, let me say it like this. I've said it, I think, on another channel, where I said, let me use the words of Ludacris. Where I move, he moves. Do you understand? Where he moves, we move, just like that. So let Nigerians just
I presume that's the word movement behind the obedience then.
Yeah, so, for a long time, every time I see what the obedience are moving, that's the song that comes to my mind, that Ludacris, the chorus, where he said, when I move, you move, just like that. So that's how we are in the obedient movement. Where he moves, we move.
You're one of the most prominent female leaders within the obedient movement, a card-carrying member of the Labour Party. When are you going to run?
In due time. I'm still learning the ropes. Politics is not for the faint-hearted. I'm the accidental politician, accidental spokesperson. I didn't dream that I'd be doing this, and I'm grateful for the honor. I'm grateful for being entrusted to speak for not just His Excellency Peter Obi, but the obedient movement. A lot of the time I found that I have to temper my words, bring it out in a totally different way than how the obedience would want it. And so I'm learning. I'm very curious. I want better representation from women. So for me to have been thrust into the foray is a big deal. But then, and thankfully, thankfully, I've had a lot of mentors. I've had their names that call my number, and when I see Truecaller identifying, first I fling the phone. I'm like, and they say to me, Nana, you're doing such a good job. We're literally proud of you. I've had people say to me, even people who you feel are not politically aligned with you, your name is on the table. They are talking about you. So that means there's something I have to offer.
A political table, maybe with the APC government?
I'm sure they're referring to the APC, but, you know.
Would you take it if it was offered to you? Any job?
Would I take what?
A job, an appointment with the government, DG, name it, communications, any of those portfolios.
Would it be communications if the government is willing to have people, and I've said this before, if APC-led government was serious, they would actually have people from the opposition working closely with them, telling them where they dropped the ball. So if my work with government will entail freedom of speech, where I can speak honestly and truthfully with no encumbrance and tell them you'd messed up here, much like the shadow government of which I'm a part of, the shadow cabinet that Professor Patutomi came with. I'm the shadow minister too for information or something like that. But we've had to backpedal a bit because, as always, this government is always afraid of even their own shadow. So we had to now, change
is that
the
dead
words
and gone
around.
now?
So no, it's not dead and gone. It's just that we don't call ourselves a shadow cabinet. We're now more like the big tent shadow team, which I think is, it's such a downer, because we weren't even asking government to pay us to be able to come and tell you, you've done this wrong, you've done this wrong. They say, oh, Nigeria is not, well, it's in court. We're in court.
Yeah, because so I know the DSS
so let me not talk too much.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, if they were a serious government, then it would be a no-brainer that they would need people with divergent views, people with dissenting voices, working alongside them, not working for them, and not working with them per se, but just alongside them. What do you think about this? No, I think you should have done this better. I should be able to come and tell you, no, you didn't. This is wrong by every standard. For example, I should be able to, whether or not I work alongside a government, I should be able to say to them, that was a whole load of crap that the governor of Edo State, came to say. You can't threaten people's lives.
Why do you presume that an impractical job, and I say this, an impractical job or an impractical price, because that would be your price now, if I would say, to be able to work for government, right? Speak your mind, have freedom, express yourself. Why
not work for government?
Oh, work with.
Work alongside them. No, I won't work. I won't work for APC. No, I won't. They consider that they are progressives. I haven't seen Nigeria progress. We don't feel it. I was at Business Time about almost 2 weeks ago, where they were talking about the economic growth, and all that is just English. How does that translate to the woman selling kose on the road? How has that been able to translate to transporters trying to move from maybe Oshobo to the next city? How has that helped Lagos commuters? How has it translated to the average Nigerian, not to even talk of those who are not upwardly mobile? How has that translated into better education for the Nigerian child, for the girl child? How has that translated to security? So I won't work for this government. I can work alongside with them, keep putting fire to their toes. I'm already doing that even without them giving me any appointments. So it's just to keep at it. But if they were supposed to give me a title, a job title or something, I would still want to be able to speak.
What would be an interesting job title for you?
I would still like to be able to speak from the side of a skeptical Nigerian who's able to look in and speak in.
Give me a fictional job title.
And truthfully. Pardon me?
Give me a fictional job title that might interest you if all your terms and conditions are met.
Still the same thing, strategic communication for the opposition. Still the same thing. Somebody who communicates directly to government, as I'm doing. When I felt the what's his name again, Mr. Philip, when I felt he was out of line, I came out and I spoke. So yes, still strategic communications, not the type of communication that could set the whole country on fire. But if anybody if anybody can be accused of almost setting Nigeria on fire, it's them. They're the ones that don't honor the rule of law. They're the ones that their judiciary is under their thumb, and they will give you ambiguous judgments that can't be interpreted properly. It benefits this person, benefits that person. It's just a joke. We have a rubber stamp National Assembly. They won't like these things that I'm saying, but then it's just the truth, where we don't see them really standing up for truth, for justice in Nigeria. So even if, which I doubt, they were ever to call me, it would still be the same thing, to speak strategically to government, but they don't want to hear the truth.
It brings me to one notable question, and I'm guessing a lot of the people in the obedient movement want to know. Should Peter Obi choose to stay or just be affiliated with the ADC, what would be the highest thing he would settle for?
The highest office, the first citizen of Nigeria. It's all or nothing. We're not going to take second place. And I don't think it's obedience that are asking that question. I think obedience already know that it's him or nothing. That's what we want. That's who we want. And we've always said it from the beginning that he's running for office through us, through Nigerian citizens who want a better Nigeria, who want their country to thrive, who want the reasons we have been called giant of Africa to come. So you don't have to think. We don't want to remain a statistic of everything negative. There are fantastic and positive things about Nigeria. And we strongly believe that he's the kind of person that can steer us in that direction. It's the office of the first citizen, the office of the president. That's what he's running for. That's the only thing the ADC will give that we are willing to accept.
So that was Nana Kazari, which is the spokesperson of the Obedient Movement. And we all know that P2B is one of the Nigerian politicians that we have seen the qualities of a leader. P2B is competent. P2B has integrity. P2B is honest. P2B understands what people are going through. P2B is the only leader in Nigeria that led Anambra State for 8 years and left with no public fund. P2B donated or left the public funds for the next governor to continue, and that was what they used to build airport in Anambra State today. So this is someone that tells that he does not need public fund, that he is not after our money, he's after having a change in Nigeria. P2B has proven that all he wants or all he's desperate about is seeing Nigeria work. And he has said it not once, not twice, that he's not in any coalition with anybody, that he's in coalition of against hunger, against poverty. And this man has given us a blueprint of what it takes to change Nigeria into a better nation. This man called P2B have told us that we need to invest in education and invest in health. And he have also said that we need to change this country, Nigeria, to a country that produces rather than a country that consumes. But Nigeria is a country that only consumes. That's the only thing we do. We only consume. That's the only thing we are good at. Consuming, importing. We are not exporting anything because Nigeria is blessed with raw materials, but our raw materials are being exported, and then we go and import finished goods and we import them expensive. That's why everything in Nigeria is getting expensive day by day, because we don't maximize our raw materials. How can we have copper, we have steel, but yet we are importing things? We need a leader. We need a government that will understand that they need to put all these raw materials into use. We have lands, but we don't have agriculture in Nigeria. Why? Because herdsmen have taken over our farmland in Nigeria. herdsmen have taken over farmlands, and the government are not doing or saying anything about it. So how do you expect, or how do you intend that we grow in our agricultural aspects, where farmers these days don't go to farm because they are scared that they will by these same herdsmen we are talking about? So we need someone that understands these things. People have said it, that we need to invest in our agriculture. If we can invest in our agriculture, then we cannot be talking about food crisis in a country like Nigeria that has rainfall, sunlight. We have lands, we have good and fertile lands, but we don't have farmers because they have quit their job. It's only Nigeria where our own soldiers are leaving our soldiers to go and join another man's land soldier, because they know that these people take care of their soldiers than Nigeria. In Nigeria, they don't take care of our soldiers, our police, and then tomorrow we expect them to come and save lives or to protect lives. They cannot do that with empty stomach. That's why there is high rate of kidnapping, because most of these soldiers are working hand in hand with kidnappers so that they can have their own court. And you can't blame them because they are working for the government, and the government are not being taking care of them. So they have to do all they can do to be able to survive. Nigeria today is survival of the fittest. It's no longer about who is doing the good or who is doing the bad. Everybody is trying to survive. So they might tend to put their hand in evil just to see food to eat. That's just how simple it is that Nigeria today, the government don't take care of their own. Talk more of doctors. You know that the main reason why students today study nursing is not so that they can work in Nigeria. It's so that they can japa, because nursing seems to be the easiest route you can japa for this country. So most of them are really nursing so that they can be able to run away from the country, which does not make any sense. We don't have more doctors in Nigeria because our doctors are now abroad, but are being appreciated, they are being paid a lot. This kind of leader we need. So come 2027, P2B for president. Let me get your view in the comment section. I'll be in my next video.